So let's talk about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, a game that nobody asked for, especially from Rocksteady, a studio best known for awesome single-player action-adventure games, particularly the Arkham series, which is seminal and is such a far cry from this far inferior experience that is Suicide Squad and its live service looter shooter gameplay that does not reflect the best of Rocksteady. I recently talked about Skull and Bones, which is a live service that's also seeing middling critic review scores and user review scores, not just on Metacritic, but on OpenCritic. It's especially telling that only 12% of critics who review this game recommended. Beyond that, you've got the fact that based on sources that Insider Gaming here relayed, Skull and Bones has less than 1 million players total, so it apparently sold less than 1 million copies, which is a really bad sign for a live service. That for a game that's been in development for like 11 years, that's going to sink this ship if there isn't some kind of recovery or major comeback or overhaul plan soon. And now looking at Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, you can see that the Metascore and user score are about the same as Skull and Bones. They're middling as far as critic reviews go, with a 60%. User score is unfavorable with a 3.7. On OpenCritic, you'll find how many critics would actually recommend this game, and of those who have reviewed this game, only 19% would recommend that you check this game out. Not a great sign at all, and that's reflective in the fact that there are just not a whole lot of people playing this game. Just looking at the number of reviews on Steam, while the review score is very positive, which is somewhat unexpected, it seems as though for those few who did check out this game are having a decent enough time. The number of reviews is only at 4,226 user reviews, which suggests that there's just not a lot of interest to buy this game, check it out, and to leave a review. This is an indicator of low sales when there's just such few user reviews. And now it seems as though Warner Brothers has come out and straight up admitted that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League underperformed, it did not deliver, and that it is flopping, essentially. Speaking during a financial call, Warner Brothers Discovery Chief Financial Officer Gunnar Wiedenfels said this year Suicide Squad, one of our key video game releases in 2024, has fallen short of our expectations since its release earlier in the quarter, setting our games business up for a tough year-over-year comp in quarter one. Now, of course, they're too embarrassed to give us exact numbers right now, which is what tends to happen when a game flops that badly. When it comes to like huge successes, they tend to tout the numbers. Here's how many millions of copies we sold. When a game flops as hard as this does, they tend to go, oh, it didn't meet our expectations, rather than this thing bombed, which I suspect is the case for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League if we were to look at the statistics and numbers of the game's sales. It is a stark contrast from, say, Hogwarts Legacy, which went on to become the best-selling game of 2023, surpassing the likes of Call of Duty, which tend to sit at the top. And what's the one key differentiating factor between something like Hogwarts Legacy and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League? Hogwarts Legacy felt like a true love letter to Harry Potter. It was a campaign-driven experience. It wasn't some cynical live service. They didn't turn it into a live service looter shooter or looter caster or whatever. They just made a game that was most true to what this experience was meant to be. Whereas Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, it felt like the looter shooter live service elements were just kind of shoehorned in there for the sake of turning this game into a long-term monetizable scheme, rather than it being true to the full potential of what this game should have been. You know, a Suicide Squad game is compelling as a concept, but when executed in such a way where every member of the Suicide Squad mainly attacks by using guns and by shooting guns instead of using their unique abilities, and making this a more campaign-driven experience and fleshing out that campaign and making it the most authentic version of this IP possible, instead of turning it into a genre where it doesn't quite fit the IP. That's when you get something like Suicide Squad, which just doesn't really interest anyone. As a live service looter shooter, there are just better ones out there, and as a superhero game, well, there are better ones out there. It kind of tries to do both, and ultimately doesn't accomplish great things in either. And you can really see how dire the state of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is when you look at Steam charts, statistics, and you look at how many players are checking this game out right now. The fact that the all-time peak is still 13,459 players already tells us everything we need to know about the fate of this game. Keep in mind that all-time peak concurrent players number is less than half of Marvel's Avengers all-time peak concurrent players number of 28,145 players. And this game flopped. This was a game whose all-time peak number suggested that this game did not have long legs. And when your AAA live service game has less than half the all-time peak concurrent players number of that title, you're in real trouble. And that goes doubly true when it hasn't even been a month since your live service's launch, and average player numbers are already only in the high to mid triple digits. Even more telling that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is not the kind of experience that people wanted out of Rocksteady, especially, is the fact that if you look at Batman Arkham Knight player numbers right now, not only is the all-time peak greater than that of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, but right now we're looking at a 24-hour peak of 6,100 players checking out Batman Arkham Knight, a game that came out all the way back in June of 2015. And this is, as of today, as of an hour ago, we have not seen concurrent player numbers for Batman Arkham Knight go this high since all the way back in July of 2015. We're seeing Arkham Knight make some kind of weird resurgence in tandem with the failure of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. What does that say? Well, I think the picture is pretty clear here. This is people missing who Rocksteady used to be, the kinds of games they used to make, and them trying to relive that after the disappointment that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was. And so they're coming back to Arkham Knight to feel like they're going back home again, to feel the excellence that Rocksteady once used to achieve, especially in the single-player, campaign-driven experience territory. And it's not just on Steam and PC where Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is not performing well. On consoles, the game has already fallen out of PlayStation's top 10 played games, and it's out of Xbox's top 50. We're talking about a fall-off that is looking worse than the likes of BioWare's Anthem and Marvel's Avengers, two live services that had already set the bar pretty damn low, and ironically, two live services that come from studios who specialized in single-player experiences before getting overzealous and trying to make a genre of games, live services that they did not specialize in, and trying to compete with the ones that were thriving, the ones that set the bar very high. It didn't work out for Anthem. It didn't work out for Avengers. It didn't work out for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Now, Warner Brothers and Rocksteady are hoping that with future content releases, like the addition of Joker as a playable character alongside, new missions and new content that will come with this update, people will come back to this game and that will spark interest. But I think Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League on a fundamental level just doesn't work. I don't think adding more content to it is really going to help. I think they have to, on some level, overhaul it or make such substantial additions as to make the game feel just different from what it is now. And I don't foresee that happening. Not to mention that the reception surrounding the reveal of Joker hasn't been particularly great or inspiring, and people are not too fond of this particular design from what I've seen from the online reactions that I've witnessed. We have been offered a glimpse of how the Joker will play in this game. The footage looks something like this, and it might offer some short-term fun here and there, but I don't know. I don't foresee this being the dramatic piece of content that will dramatically shift sentiments surrounding this game. I don't foresee this being Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League savior. All of this is happening shortly after Warner Brothers said back in November of 2023 that they want to focus on transforming its biggest franchises into live service games. This was stated by Warner Brothers CEO David Zaslav as part of an earnings call that was happening at the time. He said, "Our focus is on transforming our biggest franchises from largely console and PC based with 3-4 year release schedules to include more always-on gameplay through live services, multi-platform, and free-to-play extensions, with the goal to have more players spending more time on more platforms." On one hand, you've got experiences like Hogwarts Legacy, which are campaign-driven, not live service. Those have become one of the greatest successes that Warner Brothers has ever seen. On the other hand, you've got Suicide Squad, a game that was shoehorned into the live service looter shooter genre that went on to flop. Do you see a pattern here? And I'm not saying that live services aren't allowed to exist or that developers shouldn't have ambitions to make live services, but it has to come from a genuine place of having this amazing idea that will stand out instead of trying to make every IP a live service just for the sake of trying to make everything infinitely monetizable, because that kind of cynical approach will kill the creativity of a game and may result in a game that wasn't intended to be a live service or would have performed a lot better if it wasn't a live service. I hope how badly Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League flopped will make executives at Warner Brothers look at this quote and realize that maybe they're not cooking with this one, that maybe it's time to shift priorities and focus on games that maximize their fun and not their revenue potential or whatever. And with games like Helldivers 2 especially proving that when you focus on fun, the money just kind of comes in. People will go into your game if it's more than just another generic money-milking live service. Or at the very least, that's one man's take. Let me know in the comments below what you think the future holds for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.